Welcome back to the program. So Kamala Harris wasn't the border czar. You and me didn't see Joe Biden assigning her to oversee border policy. We didn't see that. She wasn't the border czar. Just get it out of your head. Well, she's now telling us, or she's been telling us, that the only way to deal with the over 10 million people who've crossed the border illegally into the United States is to now make them citizens and maybe have them voting by the 26 midterms. Take a look.
I intend to fight for a state that has the largest number of immigrants, documented and undocumented, of any state in this country, and do everything we can to bring them justice and dignity and fairness under the law and pass comprehensive immigration reform. Bring them out from under the shadows.
That was our non-border border czar saying, hey, we're not going to enforce the law here. Amnesty for everyone. My next guest is the chairman of the Border Commerce and Security Council, Nelson Balido. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was looking over your resume. I didn't know there was this much intersection between private sector organizations and FEMA and DHS, and you've had some pretty high-level appointments. So I know we're going to go over a lot of good stuff here. We've been watching as the Democrats, they don't want to put any barriers in place to prevent the illegal crossings while telling us the border is secure. And now that the problem has gotten so great, we are using the phrases again, round people up, kids in cages, camps. So basically, they let this happen and now are telling us the only answer is to bestow amnesty on all of these people, qualify them for all the taxpayer-funded services, give them subsidies for housing, healthcare, education, whatever it is, and somehow that's going to benefit our economy and make us more secure.
You know, I don't know what world we'll live in, but I'll tell you, the border czar, like you said, that Kamala was absolutely named, because it's interesting is all of a sudden they're taking all these, they're sweeping the internet, trying to change the name border czar from a lot of her different photos or different profiles throughout the entire internet. But there's no question that she was charged to look at the immigration problem. Maybe she wasn't charged to look after the border patrol and what those guys do on the border itself, but she was charged to look at the immigration problem as a whole. That means what's coming in from Mexico, Central America, South America, and other countries. And she looked at ways that we can help with economic opportunities in these areas. Look, the bottom line is there was a failure at all levels in looking at this situation, because obviously it hasn't stopped. We have record numbers, and we still have record. We have triple the numbers today, even though they say it's down by 40, 50%, than we have during the Trump years. And so are we winning? No, we're not winning. And you're right. They want to bring these people in, and then they want to give them all the benefits they possibly can. Look, the issue here is very simple. They come in this country saying they have credible fear. We give them cell phones, we give them debit cards, we give them housing, we give them many benefits. Then we ask them, get a job or get something, because you have a temporary work visa of some sort. And they would say, just show up at court date in 3 to 5 years, because we're so backed up there. And then 89% of them never show up. So what does that tell you? Because they don't have credible fear. They don't have an ability of proving that there was fear where they came from. Therefore, why show up? Because if you show up, we're going to deport you right away. At that point, that's where you become an illegal alien once again, and you have now a visa overstay.
Can I just ask a stupid question here? And I know Trump is zeroing in on this. He's right to do it. Every poll on this issue, voters trust Trump more on the border. We have a State Department. We have a CIA. If people are saying they have a credible fear, shouldn't we know if there's an ethnic cleansing or a revolution where the outgoing party is being rounded up and shot by the incoming party or something like that? Everybody just can't have a credible fear, right? we kind of have a good beat on world events, I would at least think in the federal government. I would think in the federal government, if people are just showing up from a country, they say, well, I'm afraid of this, that, and the other thing. Shouldn't we already know if there's some truth to it?
Generally, we should, right? But the litmus test is, and the bar is so low that, we believe you, wink, wink. Come on in. We'll see you in court in a number of years. You'll never show up. You get lost in America.
By then, you might have had 3 kids, and now we can't deport you.
Yeah, now you have what they call anchor babies, which is very well known in the community. That's what happens. And then, oh, well, now you can't deport you, or if we deport you, or what happens to the kids? And that's what happens. It's a racket at all levels, and it's a big problem. And and if we're going to solve this problem, the first thing you got to do is you got to stop the bleeding before you can have surgery. We're not even stopping the bleeding at this point. And the only reason that's happening on the border is because we put so much pressure on Mexico and some of these other countries to put over 20,000 military men on the Mexican side to do immigration policy in the sense of keeping people away from the border. They're still sneaking through. Is that that's why you've seen the numbers go down. But you know how to solve this? I'll tell you one way to solve it. So if we disincentivize, so why do people come to this country? Normally because, maybe someone of us want to do harm. It's a very small percentage, but that's the problem that we have. We really don't know all the time. But most of the people that want to come is for economic opportunity. But these countries, they say, well, if I don't have to feed you, if I don't have to house you, if I don't have to educate you, secure you, transport you, and you're going to send money back to home country, well, heck, you should have left last week. The delta for these countries that are being propped up by monies being sent south on a monthly basis is humongous. There's no incentive for these countries to stop people leaving. That's why they want them to leave and send money back. So how you solve it is I think what we should do is put a policy in place where, look, we're not going to forbid you from sending money back home. We're going to want you to have a bank account. No more cash deals at the counter. No more cash deals at Western Union or MoneyGram. We're going to have you have a bank account. So now we know who's sending, how much you're sending, who you're sending to, and when you're sending. We're not going to prevent it, but we want you to have some accountability. That right itself, because we know that 42% of those monies are illicit funds. They go for human trafficking, fentanyl, and other drugs to the cartels and all the organized crime that's happening south of the border. We stop the hemorrhage. We stop we stop the reason of coming here. If you can't send money back, you may 2 things: either self-deport because now you can't support your family back home, or you know what? I'm not going because I can't send money back to start off with. I bet you right there that solves 15 to 25% of the problem day one.
I got to leave it there, sir. I wish we had more time. I have a lot more I'd love to talk to you about, but I'm out of time here. Thank you for joining us.
We'll talk soon. Thank you again.
All right. Coming up in my argument, when is Kamala Harris going to have to answer real questions about her plans? Here she is admitting she wants to raise taxes on 91% of America.
So these are some of the ways, but we've got to increase the corporate tax rate. We also have to increase taxes for the top 1%. And that part of that is going to be about repealing that tax bill that they just passed. And also looking at estate taxes are going to have to go up.
That tax bill cut taxes for everyone. My argument's next.